Hello, I'm Brad Sherman from California's best named city, Sherman Oaks. It is a pleasure to be with you once again. I also bring greetings from my friend and fellow Californian Jim Costa, who wanted so much to be here. I believe someone will be reading a statement from him later in the proceedings. A year and a half ago, Azerbaijan's military aggression led to the ethnic cleansing of well over 100,000 indigenous Armenians from an area where Armenians had lived for over 3,000 years. An area, and we should know, the Turks did not arrive in that area until many centuries after that. Today, Armenians remain displaced and in need of humanitarian assistance. Now, I know there's a big fight over USAID, and there are a few mistakes that were made under the Biden administration. But that is no reason to stop aid to the people who have been ethnically cleansed from Artsakh. And we must demand the return of the prisoners of war. You cannot have a peace without the return of prisoners of war, and that includes the leadership of the Republic of Artsakh. Now, I've been part of the Armenian caucus since I arrived here in Congress, along with Jim McGovern, back in 1997. I want to thank the community for the honor now of serving as vice chair of the caucus, under, of course, our co-chairs, Bill Arakis and, of course, Frank Ballone, who was here earlier. And I have spent 28 years on the Foreign Affairs Committee. That is the committee that has jurisdiction over arms exports. And I'm now on the subcommittee that deals with arms sales abroad. And let me say, when Erdogan says he wants F-16s, the answer is no. And when he says he wants F-35s, the answer is different. The answer is hell no. Yes, Aliyev displaced the people of Artsakh, but he didn't do it without Erdogan, a country that claims to be a loyal part of NATO and cooperates with Russia, buying their S-400 systems that will then, as Turkey would use our advanced aircraft and Russian defense systems, will then leak information to Russia as to how their air defense systems can defeat our aircraft. No Armenian, no Greek, and no American should want Erdogan to get anywhere near an F-16 or an F-35. I've partnered with the Armenian National Committee and others in a powerful congressional briefing with Republic of Artsakh human rights defender Gerem Stepanakert and former State Minister Artsakh Beglarian to shed light on the crimes committed by Azerbaijan. I met with individuals who were able to tell me their stories of Azerbaijan's horrific acts. It was heart-wrenching to hear the story of a woman who had Azerbaijani airstrikes hit her home, killing her beloved husband and sons, injuring a child. Another shared her story that will forever haunt me. In 2022, her sister, an Armenian soldier, was captured by Azeri forces. She and the rest of her family found out what happened by looking at Telegram, where Azeri soldiers had put up the footage of them torturing her sister and mutilating her body. This is what we have to deal with when we deal with Baku. and I cannot even describe some of the scenes that I saw on that video. Now, until Artsakh's Armenians are able to return to their homes in safety, the United States must provide aid to Armenia to deal with 100,000 and more refugees. That's why so many of us sent a letter to Secretary Rubio that aid to Armenia must be restored. And it is time, of course, to hold Azerbaijan accountable. You heard from my good friend Adam Schiff. He introduced in the Senate, and I introduced in the House, bill that was mostly his idea, the Artsakh Revenue Recovery Act, a bipartisan bill that says we should seize all the assets of Azerbaijan over which we have jurisdiction and transfer those assets to an Artsakh Revenue Recovery Fund to compensate the victims of Azerbaijan's ethnic cleansing. Now I know that this is a dark day and a dark year for the Armenian people. But I was here for nearly 20 years fighting to recognize the Armenian genocide. And we had almost thought that it was impossible until 2019, when suddenly things broke. It passed by an overwhelming majority in the House. A year later in the Senate. Years after that, the administration. The arc of justice is long. The arc of history is long, but it bends toward justice. And I look forward to working with you for justice. Just as then we recognize the Armenian genocide, which was so important, because as others have pointed out, genocide denial is the last step of a genocide. First you expunge a people, then you expunge the memory of the expungement. It is also the first step in the next genocide. The events of 1915 to 1923 laid the foundation so that Hitler could convince his henchmen that they could get away with the Holocaust, and then it also laid the foundation so Aliyev could think that he could get away with the destruction of the Armenian people of Artsakh. Never again should America be party to genocide denial. So I look forward to working with you in the years to come. And I look forward to visiting Stepanakert when once again the people who live there can live there in peace and in freedom. Thank you very much, Andrea.